Right now, open a new tab in Google Chrome, hit that little icon at the top, the one that looks like a spy with a hat, and go incognito. You probably think that means private. You probably think Google isn't watching. A class action lawsuit filed in 2020 alleged that Google was tracking users' activity using Google Analytics and Ad Manager while those users believed they were browsing privately in incognito mode, collecting what plaintiffs described as an unaccountable trove of information. And separately, for 5 years, Google promised the entire internet it was going to delete the hidden files that follow you around every website you visit. In July 2024, Google all but abandoned that promise entirely. Here's how the browser used by more than half the planet spent years making privacy promises it never intended to keep, and how the advertising money it makes from tracking you was always more important than anything it ever told you. In 2008, Microsoft's Internet Explorer had almost 60% of the world's browser market share. Mozilla Firefox was in distant second with roughly 1/3. Google's brand new Chrome browser had just 0.3%. That's where Chrome started, less than 1%. A decade later, Chrome effectively owned the browser space with market share of almost 70%. How? It was genuinely better. Chrome used the V8 JavaScript engine, which blew rivals out of the water in performance tests. Each tab ran as a separate process. If one crashed, the whole browser didn't. The design was minimalist. No clutter, no bloat, just a simple address bar that doubled as a search box. People switched because Chrome made the internet feel faster and safer. And Google had one weapon nobody else had. It could advertise Chrome inside every Google product. Search results, Gmail, YouTube, all of them showed Chrome ads to billions of people before Chrome had even earned a reputation. It took less than 5 years for Chrome to become the world's most popular browser, overtaking Microsoft's Internet Explorer, which had utterly dominated the market when Chrome first launched. By 2026, StatCounter estimates Chrome holds 75.23% worldwide browser market share on personal computers, dominant on smartphones and tablets too. 3 out of every 4 people reading a web page right now are doing it through Google's browser. That's the foundation everything else in this story is built on. Like and subscribe, because once you understand what that market share actually means for your privacy, you can't think about Chrome the same way again. Here's the thing nobody asks about Chrome. It's free. Completely free. No subscription, no premium version, no payment of any kind. So how does Google make money from it? According to Alphabet's own financial filing, more than 75% of its 2024 revenue came from online advertising. Search and other ad revenues alone generated $198.1 billion. Yes, you heard right, $198 billion from ads. And Chrome is how Google feeds that machine. Chrome isn't just a browser, it's a funnel to Google Search and a distribution channel for Google's ad technology. Without it, Google's consolidation in online search and advertising would hardly have been possible to such an extent. The browser that felt like a gift was always, in reality, a pipeline. Every website you visit, every search you make, every product you look at inside Chrome, that data flows into a targeting system that helps Google sell ads against your behavior. That's not illegal. That's the deal. You use the browser for free, Google learns about you, advertisers pay Google to reach you. The problem is what happened when Google realized the system was under threat and what they promised to do about it. For years, the advertising industry has relied on something called third-party cookies. These are tiny tracking files that websites leave in your browser, and they follow you across the entire internet. Visit a shoe website. Get followed by shoe ads everywhere you go for the next 2 weeks. That's cookies. Privacy regulators, lawmakers, and users had been pushing back on cookies for years. Firefox blocked them. Safari blocked them. The pressure was building. In 2019, Google acknowledged the problems with third-party cookies by setting up the Privacy Sandbox project with the aim of letting users control how their information was collected. At the start of 2020, it said the idea was so promising that it could sustain a healthy ad-supported web in a way that would render third-party cookies obsolete. Google claimed it would phase out Chrome's support for third-party cookies within 2 years. By 2022, the internet celebrated. Privacy advocates called it a historic step. Advertisers started rebuilding their entire systems to prepare for a cookieless future, and then the deadlines started moving. The UK Competition and Markets Authority decided that Google's plans were actually anti-competitive. In mid-2022, Google was forced to delay the phase-out until the second half of 2024. Then in April 2024, Google admitted it could only start phasing out third-party cookies in early 2025. 2022, then 2024, then 2025. Every time a deadline arrived, a new one appeared in the distance. By January 2024, Google had begun restricting third-party cookies for just 1% of Chrome users as a testing mechanism. 1%. After 4 years. That's where the promise stood. While Google was making public promises about cookies, something else was happening quietly. People were using incognito mode, the private browsing feature Chrome ships with, the one with the spy icon, the one most people assume means Google can't see them. A lawsuit filed in 2020 accused Google of misrepresenting the kind of data it collects from users who browse the internet via incognito private browsing mode in Chrome. CNN internal Google emails revealed during the case proved that the incognito mode on Google's Chrome browser still followed users. The data was used to sell ads. The lawsuit sought $5 billion in damages on behalf of users who thought they were private. Google settled the suit. As part of the settlement, Google must delete billions of data records that reflect the private browsing activities of users. Google will also update its disclosure to inform users about what data it collects each time a user initiates a private browsing session. And what did users receive in compensation for years of being tracked while they thought they were private? Google's spokesperson noted that the plaintiffs originally wanted $5 billion and received zero. Yes, $0. Google deleted some old data, rewrote a disclaimer, and walked away. That's the settlement. Billions of people tracked $0 paid to any of them. Then came July 2024, after 5 years of promises, after the entire advertising industry spent billions rebuilding their systems, after privacy advocates called it a turning point for the internet. Anthony Chavez, a vice president working on Google's Privacy Sandbox initiative, published a blog post saying third-party cookies will in fact continue to be supported in Chrome. Instead of deprecating third-party cookies, he wrote, Google would introduce a new experience in Chrome that lets people make an informed choice. A choice. Instead of just killing the thing that tracks you, Google would ask if you want to be tracked. And then even that plan didn't survive. Google announced it would not introduce a third-party cookie user choice prompt in Chrome as previously planned. Instead, Google would continue supporting third-party cookies in Chrome as they currently operate, without adding a new choice screen for users at all. No phase-out, no choice screen, no change. Privacy campaigners at the Electronic Frontier Foundation characterized this as Google backtracking on its privacy promise and pointed out that rivals like Firefox and Safari block third-party cookies by default. Firefox blocks them by default. Safari blocks them by default. Chrome, the browser used by 75% of the world, does not. And the reason is sitting right there in Google's financial filing. More than 75% of Google's 2024 revenue came from online advertising. Privacy costs money. Tracking makes money. The choice was never really a choice. So here's where we land in 2026. Chrome is the most dominant browser in the history of the internet. 3 out of 4 people use it. There is no close second. And behind that dominance sits the most sophisticated advertising machine ever built. One that depends on knowing where you go, what you read, what you buy, and what you want before you know you want it. Google spent 5 years telling the world it was going to change. It held press conferences, it published blog posts, it gave the privacy promise a name, the Privacy Sandbox, and made it sound like a project for the public good. While all of that was happening, it was tracking people in incognito mode and selling that data to advertisers. And when the final deadline arrived to actually follow through on the cookie promise, it quietly stepped back, blamed complexity, blamed regulators, blamed the ecosystem. The tracking continues, the ads continue, the $198 billion in annual revenue continues. Here's the thing that makes this different from your average corporate story. Every other company we've covered on this channel, CCleaner, CapCut, BBM, Windows 11, those were products you chose. You downloaded them, you installed them, you trusted them. Chrome is different. Chrome is the internet itself for most people. It's not an app you install, it's the window through which 3/4 of the world sees everything online. And the company that controls that window makes $198 billion a year from knowing what you're looking at through it. That's not a scandal, that's the business model, and that's the part Google really hopes you never connect. Drop in the comments, did you actually believe incognito was private before today? And subscribe for more stories about the tools you use every day and the business decisions happening behind them that you were never supposed to find out about.